Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you are all well. My name is Marissa Mack. I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee. I hope you are all doing great. Happy Friday evening. So just to give you a heads up, we have adopted a new format for all of our meetings. Thank you, Angel, to just kind of standardize how our meetings are run and the information. So just bear with me. Today is the first day that we are doing it for Economic Development Committee. So if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand in the chat and let me know. So again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for attending this April 15th, 2021 Economic Development and Committee meeting. My name is Marissa Mack, chair of the committee, also joined by Dawn Sanders, who is the vice chair of this committee, as well as District Manager Angel Muscane. This meeting is called to order at 6:35 p.m. tonight. And again, just introducing our district manager, Angel Muscane, who is also our staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participant panel should appear and you should have the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Also, just want to make another note, something that I found out actually through the Manhattan Borough President's training on how to conduct Zoom. Any conversation that you have that is deemed private or just to one person is actually not necessarily private and may appear on the transcript. So just as a little heads up to everyone who might be sharing their weekend plans or other information, that will also be recorded. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the recording during the meeting. While a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. It's a mouthful. I hope everyone was able to obtain that information. So now we will move to attendance by roll call. Board members, please unmute yourselves and answer present when your name is called.
Adam Briha. Marissa Mack.
Here.
Giselle Malave.
Present.
Dawn Sanders.
Present.
Vinnie Torres. Jenny Tromsky. Nye Whitaker.
Present.
Steve Villanueva.
Present.
Thank you. You have quorum.
Wonderful, great. And just as a further note, just to the committee and as an FYI going forward, if we do not have quorum, unfortunately, we will not be able to continue our meeting, even if it's just for informational updates. So this committee has been great about coming, just making a note going forward. Please be sure to let both Angel and myself know if you will not be here so we can plan accordingly. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Also going forward, we actually approved our minutes from last month in our full board, but for May's meeting, our April minutes will be reviewed during our May's meeting and approved and voted on. So that is also a change that will help us to speed along the time for our full board meeting and to allow us to answer any questions within our body itself. So now moving on to announcements. I have a few, and then I will open the floor to anyone else who has any quick announcements. The first I have is summer youth employment. The applications are open until April 23rd. Very happy to see that this is back in effect for this year. And just for those who are unaware, the age range is 14 to 21 young adults, but I believe DYCD also has services for young adults between the ages of 22 through 24. You can check that information on their website, but again, the deadline does close April 23rd. The I Love New York restaurant program we supported was approved. Looking to get more detailed information about that, but I think that that's great and something that we were able to get behind. We will also discuss later on in our meeting the East Harlem Neighborhood Grant and the loans available for our community, which we hope to support and continue to support as well. New York Public Library has a number of resources for those looking for jobs. They have a number of virtual meetings on resume building, looking for jobs, interviewing and things of that nature. So thought it would be great to let you guys know. I believe Angel also sent out some information earlier this week on some of the virtual trainings that are taking place. So please pass along or partake in some of those. Also wanted to report out that some of the, if not all of the reconstruction that will be taking place at our branches will be done by Gilbane. So I'm looking to get more information on how we can connect with them specifically and hopefully share the lists that we have been working on that helps developers connect with our community and figure out ways that they can be better partners to our neighborhood and our community overall. And then last but not least, there is a community flyer that was created, and this flyer is representing not only Community Board 11, but Uptown Grand Central, Union Settlement, and the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. This was birthed out of some of the comments that have come not only from our committee, but also from full board, and the need to connect in other ways for those that are not online to the services and resources that our community has. So we are looking to see when that flyer will be distributed, but it has been created and printed. Thank you, Angel. And I think that will be a great way for us to connect with our businesses within the community that are not directly succinct with some of our emails and online information. So are there any other updates, or is there any other information that anyone would like to share at this time, just for a brief second before we get started? Okay. And all right, so we are going to now move forward with our agenda. And let's see. And so first up, we have Carrie King. Carrie, I know that you had mentioned that some of our guests wanted to present. Do you want to yield your time to them to present first?
I'm happy to. We are lucky to be joined tonight by Karen Naylor Simmons from the Columbia Small Business Development Center, and also a representative from SBA. And so I'll just, ladies, if you would like to go ahead and just talk now, that's fine. Or if you want to wait until later, that's fine too.
So yeah, I thought that maybe we could switch places. I know you had mentioned that
That's
Karen.
Great.
So Karen, if you would like to go, and then we can have our representative from SBA speak as well. So Karen, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. My name is Karen Naylor Simmons. I apologize, I won't be able to stay on very long. I have all three of my children trying to get dinner together. But I just wanted to give everyone, Reese, can you please turn that down? Can you turn that down? A little information about the SBDC and what we're doing right now. So the Columbia Harlem Small Business Development Center is one of 8 centers in New York City. We are hosted, we are hosted by Columbia Business School and provide training and one-on-one consulting to anyone starting or growing a business in New York State. Our center, as the Upper Manhattan Regional Center, conducts outreach and primarily focuses on businesses located in Northern Manhattan, so river to river, 96th Street and above. Right now, we have been focused significantly on emergency funding for the pandemic, and you'll hear a little bit more about the SBA's funding and different projects from Elaine. The Columbia Harlem Small Business Development Center is considered to be a resource partner of the SBA, which means that we do receive funding from the Small Business Administration through New York State. And we are in direct contact with the SBA around a variety of issues, but it's been especially important during this pandemic as many of the SBA funding programs are being launched and rolling out. We are usually the first to learn about any changes or updates to the funding programs directly from the SBA, and we conduct additional training in our community. I would say right now, we're very much focused on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and we are hosting a webinar next Wednesday on that. The best way for anyone to find out about any of our programs is to join our email list, and you can go to our website, and I'll provide that information shortly. We also have been focused on letting people know and supporting people through the Shuttered Venues program, which is requiring a little bit more in terms of administrative work to apply for that program. Shuttered Venues is for performing arts and arts programs, including locations and services, while Restaurant Revitalization is for hospitality food businesses. So that can include restaurants, it can also include food trucks, caterers, anyone who is providing food. We're also aware of and will be supporting some of the state-run funds. There's a second state-run restaurant fund, and you can learn more about that on our website as well. I'm sorry, you can learn more about that from our office as well. The best way for anyone to learn about our programs and to sign up for email updates is on our website, www.gsb.columbia.edu/SBDC. And I think for me, that is it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take questions. One more thing is we do offer, Columbia has generously provided an emergency storefront loan fund for businesses in Upper Manhattan, and we've had several East Harlem businesses take advantage of that, and that is a loan fund for up to $50,000, and it is partially forgivable. So as I mentioned, more information on everything I've mentioned is on our website. Happy to accept questions now.
Karen, thank you so much for presenting. I just have a few questions, I think, before we recognize any other questions. Don't see any hands right now. But in regards to, oh, Giselle, I'll yield to you, actually. I'll yield to you. Go ahead, Giselle.
Okay, thank you, Marissa, and good evening, everyone. I just had one question. Are there any pressing issues or any feedback that you have gotten from the small businesses in our district?
I mean, honestly, everyone is very much focused on just getting funding and getting back to work. And we've really been pushing that for the past few months. I'm not here. I mean, it's kind of amazing, but as I speak to people, I let them know that fortunately Upper Manhattan residents are supporting our local businesses in a huge way. You know, I live here also. I live on 116th Street and Lenox Avenue, so I'm kind of halfway between East and West. You know, our communities are not communities that had second homes and were leaving and, you know, going wherever. We were staying, we were working, and we were supporting our neighbors. And that is showing up in terms of how many of our businesses are still standing. And I'm very grateful that there is, you know, a big focus by the federal government on making sure that people are able to return back to where they should have been last year. And you know, for some of these businesses, especially the restaurants typically don't get funding. So being able to actually get some funding is huge. Not only are they able to keep their staff and in some cases hire, but we've really been focused on training people to pivot. In some cases, some restaurants are actually opening second locations. And they're really taking advantage of the opportunity in order to hire more local residents and keep our economies going. So those who were able to really take advantage because they had done their paperwork, they, you know, they had their books in place, they, you know, they were operating their businesses well before the pandemic have made it through, and we're very grateful and very excited about that.
Thank you, Karen.
So Karen, just wanted to, and thank you, Giselle, for your question. Just wanted to ask two quick questions. One, if you could just drop your information in the chat, your email on the website if possible, or an email that you would like to provide for further questions and information. And then second, I guess I would just ask in general, what has been, I guess, the biggest hurdle that you've seen for restaurants that are trying to get assistance and or get funding, or what has been like a common theme that you, I guess, would advise restaurants now going forward to do, right? Whether it is keeping track of books or whether it is making sure that they're connecting with the community or keeping up with marketing, like what would be maybe just, you know, a couple of things off the top of your head that you would advise businesses to make sure that they're doing now as we move forward and we're getting ready to hopefully fully open back up again?
The one thing I was actually on a call earlier today, and this came up for restaurants, really all businesses, but especially restaurants that are going to be trying to access the restaurant revitalization funding. It's actually a very good opportunity because there may, depending on the status of the business, they may have an advance period where they can access funding. If it's a minority women-owned business, there are certain districts where, you know, if your business is located in that district, I believe that the funding opportunity for those types of businesses is actually opening either 14 or 21 days before it's opening for everyone else. So we are advising everyone to get their paperwork together. The great thing about, quite frankly, restaurants is it's such a highly regulated industry that usually, you know, because of the labor, because of tips, all of that, usually they do have their documents together. But today I was on a call and they suggested that all of the restaurants file their taxes, their 2020 taxes. Because there are some conversations about SBA actually checking the taxes against whatever information is submitted around 2019 and 2020 revenues. So definitely work with your accountant, get that in. Every storefront business needs to, well, every business obviously needs to file taxes, but I think this year in particular, there's still a variety of different opportunities available, but very, very important to make sure that you are working with your accountant to get your documents on time. So that includes obviously profit and loss statements as well as the tax.
Perfect. Yes, P&L, very important. Okay. Thank you so much for presenting and providing your information. We have it here so that if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to you and or the website directly. But thank you for taking the time to come and present. And
Marissa.
Yes.
I just one more question before you let her go. Karen, this is a softball. I'm tossing it to you. Can you tell people how to sign up as to be a client of the Sbdc, because it's slightly different than signing up for the mailing list?
It is. So also when you go to our website, and I will drop the site in the chat, you're just going to click on, I believe it's make an appointment for counseling. So click on make an appointment for counseling. I suggest that you do both because it's not our systems are not really together the way that we would like them to be. So, so there is a bit of a delay if you just sign up for email versus signing up for email and making an appointment for counseling at the same time. But we're constantly doing trainings. We are sending out information as soon as we receive it, especially from the SBA. As I mentioned, we are the primary resource partner for Northern Manhattan. And so very important to get on both the email list as well as schedule an appointment.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Carrie, for having her come as well. Thank you both. And just as a reminder, as we move forward, please make sure to raise your hand so we can follow the protocol of the meeting. But thank you again so much for presenting. We appreciate the information you provided. So moving along, we have, Carrie, do you have a raised hand? Is that a raised hand I see?
I thought it was still my floor. I'm not trying to like rail the meeting. I just
Okay,
want to say,
so
because we also have a representative from SBA, Elaine
yes,
Powell, and I would like to yield my time to her.
Yes. So I was going to ask Pablo. I'm moving you down because we're trying to be respectful of everyone's time here. So we're going to move you down, and I was going to ask Pablo if he wanted to yield his time to Elaine. Everybody's going to get a chance. Everybody's going to get a chance to talk tonight.
It's no problem. It's okay with me.
Okay, Pablo, thank you. And Carrie, we will get to you as well. And so Elaine, welcome. Elaine Powell, help me with your last name.
Belnavis.
Belnavis, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on behalf of SBA and presenting this evening. Thank you, Jackie and Pablo and Carrie for connecting her with us so that we can have a representative here speaking specifically and hopefully more in detail about the revitalization fund and how they can get more information. So I am going to turn the floor over to you at this time.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you guys for inviting me. Hi, Karen, how are you? We talked on the phone a lot, but now we're actually seeing each other. Yeah, and to everyone, like I said, who invited me here. Yeah, I'm from the SBA, and there are 4 financial initiatives that we have going. I know Cameron mentioned about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. We are prohibited from talking about that in any great detail. The shuttle venue operators grant, we are prohibited from talking about that in any great detail because we're still working on trying to get everything together so people can actually launch their applications. But they can go through the resource partners, which of course Columbia University is one of our resource partners that we have that you can utilize to go through. But I'm not prohibited from talking about the Paycheck Protection Program, and neither am I prohibited from talking about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. With this whole pandemic that took place in February of last year, they started this the CARES Act, and through the CARES Act, they put $2.2 trillion into the economy. And through that program, they created the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program is, I think this is about the third time around that we've had this program. And still we have people that's not aware of the fact that the federal government is giving money to small businesses for payroll and for expenses. So I'm still running into these people, but we're on round 2. Some people already got round 1. Now they're working on round 2. If you've never gotten it, you'll be going on the round 1 qualifications. If you have gotten it, you're going on the round 2 qualifications. And basically it's for self-employed. It's for sole proprietors. It's for independent contractors. Those people getting 1099s. You get your corporations, your LLCs, etc. And there's a lot of nonprofit organizations, chambers of commerces are entitled to get it as well. And if you do what you say you're going to do with it, that means 60% go to payroll and 40% go to expenses. This is a loan that you can ask the SBA to forgive, which means it turns into a grant. So most of everybody who've gotten a PPP loan and asked for it to be forgiven have gotten it forgiven. In the event you're one of these unlucky people and you don't get your loan forgiven, it becomes a loan at 1% interest. So you're not going to find money for 1% anyway, but like I said, it can be a grant, or if it doesn't turn out to be a grant, it's 1%. Basically, you have to ask us to forgive the loan. You have to ask that the SBA forgive you for this loan. If you do that and we forgive you, like I said, it's a grant. You don't claim it on your income taxes or anything like that because, it's a grant. Some people was, claiming it on the income taxes because, they thought that they'd have to pay it back, but they don't. Now, that economic injury disaster loan is a interesting thing going on with that. When they started out, it was doing $2 million. Then it came down to $150,000. Now we're back up to $500,000. So individuals who got a loan when it was $150,000, they are sending letters. The SBA will send them a letter letting them know that they qualify to up to $500,000. So a lot of letters went out. A bunch of people are calling, trying to find out what do I have to do to get the increase. But basically that information is pretty much explained in the letter that you got sent, the 2 qualifications that you have to meet in order to increase that. Now, the economic injury disaster loan, you use that for payroll. You can use it for expenses in your business as well. That is not forgivable. That's a loan. And for nonprofit organizations, the interest rate is 2.75. For a for-profit organization, the interest rate is 3.75. But either way, that's still not a lot of interest on the money if you're borrowing it and you need it for your business. So we usually have people go into our resource partners like Columbia or Sbdc. They can help you with all of this stuff. We put all of this out, but we don't sit in the office and do the paperwork and the back end of everything. We send you to our resource partners, and they are the ones who actually help us to get this job done. So we got 4 things going right now: the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses. You have the Economic Injury Disaster Loan for small businesses. You have the Shuttle Venue Operators Grant. Now that is a straight out grant. There's no asking to be forgiven or anything. There's no interest. It's a straight grant. And also the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, that's a grant. So you have 2 grants, 1 possible grant if you ask to be forgiven for the PPP, and 1 straight out loan, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So there's a lot going on at the SBA because, small businesses is the backbone to the economy, and we're trying to do as much as we can to help small businesses stay in business. We're not trying to lose any businesses. We're really trying to keep the ones that we have and also open the door for people who are interested in starting a business in the pandemic. So things change every day. I thought we was going to hear from our new administrator. She just got confirmed by the Senate. Her name is Isabella Guzman. She's out of California. And something happened today with the teams, and she had to cancel her meeting. But I was really waiting to hear what her priorities for small business was going to be. So that is going to be interesting because it is going to drive what we put all of our weight behind as we move forward as the SBA. So I guess hopefully next week or the week after next, you'll come on and let us know. And from there, we'll be able to let you know what the goals of the SBA is with regard to in coordination with our administrator. I got to plug up my computer here. I'm sorry, I'm losing my, yes, okay. I was losing my battery there. So there's a lot going on in this every day that is going on, but we're working it out, the kinks out the system. Hopefully the shuttle venue operators grant will be up and ready to go, and the restaurant revitalization fund will be up and ready to go. Though those things are funded. I think let me see the date. The amount was $28.6 billion for the restaurant revitalization fund, and it's $15 billion for the shuttle venue operators grant. So the money is there, but people have to know that there are requirements to qualify for these grants. And I was shocked to find out that the restaurant revitalization fund, you have to spend this money by March 11, 2023. That's a long time to spend this money. I was like, wow, 2023. So there's a lot going on, but if you're interested in the PPP, you have until March the 31st, 2021 to put in. After that, bye-bye to the PPP. And for the economic injury disaster loan, that ends on December the 31st, 2021. So right now, everything is open. You can't apply for the shuttle venue operators grant right now, but it's still open, and the restaurant revitalization fund. So we at the SBA are here to answer any questions you guys might have concerning what it is that we're doing. And we also work very closely with our resource partners, the Sbdcs, the WBCs, Women Business Centers, and SCORE. We have a couple of resource partners that we work with. So with that being said, do you have any questions that you want to ask about anything that I've talked about?
So Elaine, thank you so much for coming. Not sure in recent times where we've had a representative from SBA. So of course, you know, it's great that we are able to meet with the resources, but happy to meet with you as well in representing them. And thank you for coming. So just as I asked Karen, if there's any, I know there's the general website, but if there's any direct information that you might be able to provide in the chat, not only for SBA, but I know you mentioned SCORE and one other community resource as well. If you are able, Women's Business, yes, if you're able to drop that information in the chat as well, that would be very helpful before you leave us today.
Yes.
And I guess my only question to you is, I guess you're waiting for the new administration to really kind of square some of the things away that are still outstanding in regards to the application process. I know I don't want to get you in trouble. I know you can't talk too much in detail about that, but just, you know, as soon as that happens, you know, if there's any way to obviously keep us abreast through the partners that you have, the Sbdcs, the Women Business, and SCORE, please do so. And I will actually open the floor now for other questions. Again, just as a reminder, please raise your hand and then you can be recognized, and then we can kind of go from there if there's anyone that has any specific questions at this time.
So while they're thinking about their question, I just want to let you know that if you have to contact us, so I'm going to put my telephone number down as a direct contact to the SBA. We have some situations where people are put in for these loans and didn't get them, don't understand, need to get in contact with an SBA rep about something, and a code is on, they can't get the code off, that kind of stuff. We can do that downtown in the office and relieve them of that.
That's great. It's always great to be able to speak with someone. I know myself, sometimes I'm on the phone and I'm like, I just want to speak to somebody. I do not want to press these buttons. I need to speak to someone. So thank you for providing that. I know you don't have to. And of course, we have our community resources as well as a backbone. So thank you so much. Giselle, I see your hand raised.
Yes, hello, Miss Elaine. And I also wanted to thank you for coming today to our meeting. I just had one question. Do you guys plan to SBA or in conjunction with SBS, do you guys plan to maybe when like the restrictions for COVID loosen up a little bit, do you guys plan to have maybe like a fair or some type of event for small businesses in our district in East Harlem to maybe just kind of maybe give us a refresher or go over things and requirements and things that can maybe help small businesses after COVID quote unquote goes away, or people start opening up.
One of the things that I'm working on, matter of fact, I mentioned it to Karen, I wanted to do a meet our resource partners because I thought it was very important for people who are in business, plus people that are thinking of going into business, if they would find out who our resource partners are so that they can reach out to them directly. So I'm working on that. I'm gonna have to probably speed that up because there's a lot of people that are interested in opening the doors to a business. And the small business development centers, they do a lot of counseling. And people don't even know that they are doing these things. So they're paying someone else all this money. And we want them to know that most of these services are free services. We have government contracting that we do. And we also have financing that we do outside of the 4 products that I talked about today. We got a 504, we got a 7A loan, micro lending. We have a lot of different financial products that we can do to help people launch their own business. So we just need to get the word out. And I think it would be a good thing if we did that, getting to know our resource partners. I think that's going to be a good big conference that I'm planning to do so people can know what it is that we're doing.
And thank you, Giselle, for that question. Thank you, Elaine. I know that we do get a lot of information from Columbia as well. And if there's any, email listserv that you are able to push information through to the board as well, we're always welcoming more information. It's never enough. So whatever you have that's available to the community, of course, please share with us. And I know Columbia has been great about doing that as well. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'd want to thank you again for coming and taking time out of your evening to speak to us. And I'm sure that our community partners in here, if anyone has any questions, will reach out to you and or Karen in regarding questions that we have about financing and moving forward. So thank you both. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Harry, are you available now to present quickly?
Yes, quickly, keyword quickly. And I will not take the floor for very long. So thank you so much for having us as always. My name is Carrie King from Uptown Grand Central. And so I'm just going to give a few highlights about what we've been working on. I want to give a big shout out to Angel for helping us with the vaccine enrollments. Since the vaccine became available for restaurant workers, we've been trying to work in any way we can with the health department, with the different health centers to try to get people in, especially people who are not able to sit there with Twitter and figure out TurboVax and everything. And Angel very kindly has been helping us get appointments for people via Mount Sinai, which has been great. And I think maybe we've probably gotten, 75 people through Angel, 100. It feels like a lot. Which is super, and that's for the Pfizer vaccine. Of course, there was the restaurant relief, restaurant workers organization was bringing a vaccine bus to Harlem this week on Tuesday, and so we spent a lot of Monday getting people vaccines. And then on Tuesday morning, they announced about J&J, and that entire bus had been stocked with J&J. So I am worried, just to give you a sense. So we have a lot of businesses that are 100% vaccinated. Serengeti Tea, East Harlem Bottling, Evelyn's Kitchen. A lot of businesses are. We are hitting up against the wall, definitely, about vaccine hesitancy, and so there's a lot of businesses where maybe the owner and the staff some of the staff have gotten vaccinated, but some staff don't want to get vaccinated. And so, so that's how that businesses are. And then there's other businesses that are just off the radar and not really responding to our inquiries about, do you need help? So, you know, I think that's going to be, it's not just businesses, it's everybody. So going forward, that's one thing that we'll continue to work on. And then quickly, the other things are that we are, in terms of working with the different categories, Karen and Elaine mentioned the restaurants. We've also been trying to push the fitness businesses because probably 40 to 50% of them have closed, and they haven't been eligible. We had a conversation with Congressman Espaillat's office. They're just not eligible for much. There's just not a lot out there for them. So we did a fitness promotion where they all taught online classes, and we offered discounts for the classes. And I think it helped a little bit to raise their profile, which was good. Going forward into the next few weeks, we're going to do a promotion about some of the beauty businesses that are around. So we're trying to just help all the sectors as best we can. Also, just specifically for East 125th Street and the businesses on East 125th Street, this past weekend, we did a big street cleanup. The Commissioner of Sanitation came, which was kind of cool. And Councilmember Ayala, who is on this call, was sweeping the street all together. The NYPD came out and we painted a bunch of the graffiti, which is great. We've got 2 more cleanups scheduled on May 8th and June 5th. So that's always the key concern for the businesses on 125th is the cleanliness, the sanitation, those sort of issues that affect business overall. So you're invited to come to that, and I'll drop that in the chat. I think I can drop that in the chat. And then the last thing is that the Department of Small Business Services has this enormous RV. It's huge. It looks like it does not belong in New York City. It should belong in Texas. It's enormous. And they are going to bring it on May 13th to East Harlem and park it, and people can come and access resources that way. So CB11, of course, you guys are going to be a partner on that, and of course, Union Settlement. And so we'll work on getting the word out to everybody about that, but hopefully that's helpful.
Perfect. Thank you, Carrie, so much. And that van was such a resource. And I don't even think they realized last time that we had it, how impactful it was, especially I think for some of the legal counsel that they provided for the small businesses in our area. So happy that that will be back around on May 13th. And thank you for all of the updates that you've provided. So now, are there any questions quickly for Carrie? Okay, seeing none. Pablo, thank you for yielding your time as well.
It's okay. How is everybody?
Yeah, good. How are you? Thank you.
Fine. Mine is kind of quick. First, a quick comment on Elaine. Elaine is right. I am still surprised to see in East Harlem that despite of media promotion massive on TV, on the movies, Instagram, Facebook, all social media, flyers, newspaper. It's a lot of business that still have not applied for PPP. They think this is something that is not for them. They keep coming and asking, what is this PPP? Do you think I can qualify? I don't know what happened with us. I don't know. I think I need to spend like 20 more years here to understand our local businesses, but it's okay. Mine is very quick. Having finished the small business grant, I think everybody knows already that there was some money remaining, and we are working on a proposal, on a recommendation for Ms. Ayala, who is following up on me, for the disposal of that remainder. We're still working on that. We don't have anything formal yet, but I think by next week we should. So shortly we're gonna be able to do something with the remainder and help some of our business. That's it.
So Pablo, thank you. And specifically on this topic, so I'm sure you remember at our last meeting, we did propose to write a letter of a request to to redistribute the funds back into the community. But this was along with the loan program, which we did not have as much information about within our letter. The letter was great, but there was some information that I thought could have been included in there as well. So understanding a little bit more about the grant funding, right? So we're talking about two separate things. There's the grant and then there's the loan. The grant funding is more or less available. It's just a matter of how are you going to redistribute this back into the community. Is that correct at this time?
Exactly. We are working on some ideas to make sure we're fair. And that's where we are now. We're back and forth trying to produce something that is fair and everybody gets a portion of it.
Okay. And so I think with the loan portion, from what I understand, there's still a lot more to be worked out with that than there is with the grant, which is you have the amount really for the grant. You've done this process already. It's just a matter of now, how are you going to redistribute it, or basically to who?
This is like a copy of the New York Restaurant Fund that we know the amount is there, and what is not, it's a defined set of terms and conditions on how we're going to proceed. One thing we are considering, and that's the reason we have not really worked hard on the loan, is that there are at least 4 loan initiatives in East Harlem at this moment that are available for the small businesses, and so we don't see there is a lack of loan sources. So we are trying to get something that really will cater for those who would not qualify under the current loan programs without risking the recovery of those proceeds. And that's what is making this program so difficult. We may come up with something that doesn't exist, that was never tried before, but that's where we are now. And that's the reason you don't have, guys, a loan program from that fund, the Ms. Ayala fund, at this moment. It needs to be really tuned up to cater to those who at this moment do not qualify for loan.
So here's what I would like to do. And Angel, if you can offer some guidance on this. The loan and the grant are 2 separate initiatives, 2 separate programs, right? And I know that we did, again, vote last month on a letter that was then brought to the full board, retracted from full board. I would like to address this in our old business and see if we can pull up or if the committee agrees to motion on a letter of support for the grant, which we have information for. We have the amount, you have an idea of where it's going to be distributed back into the community, and you have a process. Is that correct? You're just trying to formalize that a little bit smoother now, but there's more information available about the grant than there is about the loan program. Is that correct?
Yes, and actually I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that as soon as next week,
yes,
we can speak about the specifics of the second round, or whatever we call it,
so that we can get through our informational updates. Angel, can we move this to old business and discuss at that time later in the agenda?
Sure, certainly.
Okay. All right. So Pablo, if you don't mind, we will do that. Jackie? I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have one thing. I couldn't find the I don't have the icon for raising my hand. I have one thing. That's it. Just our cash mob, our next cash mob. I'm sorry. I'm Jackie Tessman with Union Settlement. Pablo and I work together. Our next cash mob is at Daps Eats on 125th Street, 62 East 125th Street on Sunday, April 25th at 1:30. We are selling tickets. $15 for a meal. All the proceeds goes to Daps Eats, so please try to come out and support them. And that's it. I'll put the Eventbrite link, the Eventbrite link in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for that announcement. Appreciate it. And Pablo, thank you. So we will address this in regards to seeing how we might be able to support the grant portion of this initiative later on in our agenda. Thank you so much.
And I'll be glad to notify the Economic Development Committee as soon as we have something formal. Okay, that's my commitment.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're moving forward. Harlem Cares, Eva, are you on?
Yes, hi, we're
Or
on.
Pat? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, hi. I wasn't sure. I know
Hi.
from our call you said you may not be able to join. So perfect. Thank you both for coming.
Right. We want to talk a little bit about a new initiative that we put together. Eva, Angela, Donatella, and myself. It's called Harlem Careers. And our mission is to create a social media meeting place that aggregates opportunities in support of Harlem residents, especially our youth who are in need of a new and meaningful career path. Eva, can you share, please? Okay, well, while you're doing that, I'll just move forward with it.
Got it. He's
Oh,
here.
there it goes. Great, thank you. And the way this works is that we ask folks who are business owners to post on our Facebook page. And the opportunities that we are looking to offer our community is opportunities for training programs, internships, mentorships, scholarships, and entry-level job opportunities. And the focus is on resources to help underserved communities and resources provided by our local community partners. The ones that we're working with right now are Strive, Yayi, and we've also outreach to the Police Athletic League to provide us with young people to participate in these programs. We're looking to have our young people in the Harlem community to be hired by local firms. Listed are Harlem Cycle, Harlem Grown, the New York Police Department, Studio Museum, and the Jordan Cafe are just a few of our current partners. And in some cases, we are talking about it now, we will begin facilitating partnerships between local and national organizations to help, again, our local Harlem residents. Now, how does it work and how can you help? Nonprofit organizations, community organizations, and private firms. We're asking that you please post your resources and jobs to Facebook and our Instagram pages. We'll put those links in the chat for you. We're on Facebook and we're again on Instagram. What it is that we see a need for our youth. Our youth are in need of something to do. And as community leaders in the business, you guys are our point of resource. We can't do it without you. So that's why we asked to present to the Economic Committee, asking you to go to our page, post any job opportunities that you might have that our young people can take advantage of. Now, that page is monitored by the three of us. No one can just post and automatically have what it is that they're listing appear on that page. We just turned down someone who was making an offer for folks to join, but there was a fee. We don't do fees. Everything that we post on that page is free to our community. We work with residents, schools, counselors, and youth organizations.
Pat, you're muted.
Yeah, I see. I just got muted. Okay, I think I'm back. All right. Well, our mission is Harlem Careers is a place for community resources providing information on available training, internship, mentorship, and job opportunities, as I said, for our youth. And again, how can you help? You can help by going to Harlem Careers and placing your information there and telling your friends about it. We have a lot of job opportunities and internships that have been posted. So now we need some young people to take advantage of that. We've reached out to Union Settlement. We've reached out to the Police Athletic League and a few other organizations that work with our youth. The more, the merrier. We want to be a success. And in the, what is it? I think 6 weeks to 2 months that we've been in operation, we have over 200 members in that, on that page, on our Facebook page. So our goal right now is to reach 500 by the end of June. So I think we can do it if we count on you guys. Any questions?
So thank you for sharing this information. And I had a great conversation actually with Angela. Pat, I apologize. It was with Angela and Eva last week regarding this resource. And I think this is great. We have so much information floating around. It's great to kind of tunnel where the careers are and working with our community partners. I know we have Strive here as well. You know, I think it's great that you have this as a resource. And obviously this will be included in our minutes, so people will learn more about it and you guys will grow and we'll be able to share out and post information through your channel. So thank you so much. Are there any questions from our board and or the public? Okay. No hands at this time, but we will continue to share this information with everyone. And of course, as you guys are sharing out, consider your networks and other people as well. But thank you guys for creating this.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. So Angel, let's see, is Councilmember Ayala on? If not, we will recognize her when she returns. Alicia,
She has not returned yet.
okay, so let's move on. I believe, I guess Angel, if you could share your screen when you are.
Eva, can you pop off so I can jump back on, please? Thank you.
Okay, so now we are into our discussions and presentations. Mateen Sarsi, are you here with us?
Yes, hi.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Doing all right. How glad to be
Thank
here.
you for hanging in with us this evening. Thank you for coming. So looking forward to hearing from you in regards to the empowerment and sustainability efforts for NYCHA, how we can connect and what information we might be able to provide and what you are providing at this time. The floor is yours.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you kindly. And thank you for inviting me. I actually had the pleasure of going to the Housing Committee for CB11 and doing a presentation there. So I always look forward to these meetings. Glad to see a lot of familiar folks here on this committee. So really quickly, so my name is Mateen Sarsi. I am the zone coordinator for East Harlem, and that is with the New York City Housing Authority, Office of Resident Economic Empowerment and Sustainability, or most people just call us REES for short. If you go to any NYCHA development, most people know us as the REES program, or people know us by the things that we do, such as our NYCHA Resident Training Academy, as well as the more popular Section 3. But to just go over the specifics of what exactly we do, what my role is in all this, our main goal is to connect our residents who live in public housing to economic opportunities, whether that is looking for helping a resident look for employment, becoming job ready, connecting them to a job training, whether that means getting a certification, whether that means getting a skill set in order to obtain a future job. Perhaps it's furthering your education, obtaining your high school equivalency, going to college, learning English as a second language, or even entrepreneurship, as well as home ownership and financial literacy overall, whether you're looking to build credit, open a bank account, repair credit. These are all the things we connect our residents to. We are a service coordination type of organization. So essentially, we function two different ways. The first way is through our referral system. So residents are able to go through us. They're able to go through their management office. Actually, one of the things I've been able to do is actually work with local stakeholders like our elected officials. A really helpful one has been HAP, Harlem Health Advocacy Partners, who has folks who are directly in our developments. And at any given point, we have folks who are being referred to us. And in turn, we refer our residents to organizations located in East Harlem and citywide. The second part of our job is we do events. So at any given point, actually, if one of the things I'll do here is I'll put my information, and I will also put our website, because we have a website. Let's see how that works out. There we go. So you have my name, my title, my email address, as well as our email, as well as our website. If you go to the website, you'll actually see that we host a variety of events every single month from here to for the whole year. That is happening here in East Harlem, as well as in the greater city abroad. There are 15 zone coordinators. I'm the one who covers community boards 11 and 8, with most of the public housing being in community board 11. And, you know, the events that we throw are in partnership with the organizations that we work with. So my job particularly is to, number one, work with resident leadership. Number two, work with the NYCHA management. And number three, work with our partners and local stakeholders, such as yourselves, such as one of our partners present here today, Terence from Strive, as well as many of our other partners, such as Empower, Youth Action, Youth Build, Manhattan Educational Opportunity Center, Empower, which offers IT training, and a variety of others. So at any given point, we're hosting events where residents can RSVP, join an event, or perhaps even go to an information session that we host twice a month, every 2 weeks, so that folks could learn more about REIS, what we do, as well as learn about more of our partners and what they do, so that if they like what they hear, if wherever our residents are in their journey to become successful, we're able to make those connections in a good way. And anytime I'm interacting with the resident, one of the things I like to do is map out you know, what we can do to ensure that our residents get to the goals that they're trying to achieve. If at the end of the day, our resident wants to own a home, we want to start at the beginning. Well, let's look at your financial credit. Let's connect you to a service so that you can start opening a bank account, start saving, repairing credit if that's something that's an obstacle. Raising your income and assets overall. So that is our main focus. And so at any given point, mostly pre-pandemic, we hosted a lot of these things, and within the general community. Now in the COVID era, all of our events are online. So if you go to our website, opportunitynycha.org, you will see all of our events posted. You will see what you need to do in order to RSVP to an event. As well as the services that we provide, not only in East Harlem, but citywide, which one of the few bonuses of COVID has been that because everything is going on virtually, there are no geographic obstacles for a resident from East Harlem to be able to obtain a service in Queens, in the Bronx, in Staten Island, without having to move. So that is the general gist of what I do. I actually I've had the pleasure of meeting with a couple of folks from Community Board 11. We're actually currently working with Eva Chan, with one of our partners, Year Up, because we're looking to bring for the fall recruitment residents from East Harlem to enroll and to increase that enrollment for more successful outcomes. Because at any given point with our partners, one of the things that we do is we set up events. We generally do the outreach, and we bring residents to our partnering organizations. And in return, all we ask for is outcomes and data, because we want to make sure at the end of the day that if I'm having a resident submit a referral to Strive, then I'm going to reach out to Strive and make sure that they're being serviced. And same with our events. If there's a cohort, because organizations have cohort-based programming, we want to make sure that at the end of those cohorts that we've had enrollments, that we've had completions, and that we've had successful outcomes for our residents, so that at any given time, when I'm talking to a resident, I can tell them exactly which organization is reliable and which ones will get them to the goals they're trying to achieve. So if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
So thank you so much for giving us an overview of what you're doing, what you're currently working on. I guess the only question that I would have for you, and you've already you're a step ahead, you've already dropped your information in the chat, so thank you. I guess right now, is there any ask of the community? Obviously working with Eva, I thought that was great. So I was thinking about that as you were presenting, and that's great that you guys have already connected and you're connected with Strive. Is there anything that you guys are currently working on that you are looking for support from, either this board, the youth and education committee? Is there any ask at this time?
Sure. I mean, one of the really great things, and actually one of the really positive things that I'm looking at, especially when working with Community Board 11, and I've worked with many others in the past. Dawn Saunders, who invited me here.
Yes, thank you, Dawn.
Yes, as well as even and a few others. One of the things that really helps, especially when it comes to connecting folks to organizations, and I get the feeling that when we do recruit for Year Up and working together with members of the community board, that we're going to have a bigger enrollment, because at the end of the day, depending on any organization, there usually is an interview component, perhaps there's an application component. So just knowing that there are folks from the community who might be able to help our youth increase that enrollment, so that they're able to get into these coveted slots, because it's a huge help, because at the end of the day, not only are we increasing East Harlem enrollment, but we're also ensuring that these folks have the tools that they need in order to have a successful completion and come out with a great outcome, especially our youth. Which the biggest, honestly, the hardest thing for us to recruit for in general, all the time, is education. That's always been the hardest. One thing that's actually made it slightly easier is the fact that one of our partners, Stanley Isaacs, they work with the youth, and they offer a pre-HSC as well as an HSC and a vocational training component, which allows it so that, depending on a person, I could actually get 3 different outcomes, because they have a high retention rate. And I know that when a person is connected with Isaacs, that they're going to go all the way. So for example, Isaacs actually has an advance and earn program. So folks enrolled into pre-HSC, they actually get paid in addition to learning. Same thing with the HSC. HSC, you're getting your high school equivalency, you're getting paid for it, and you're actually being connected to a job skill. So at the end of that cohort, you actually are later being connected to a sustainable job. And then actually to take it a step further, their training program is currently in a culinary skill. They have a really nice commercial kitchen. They've been doing a lot of work distributing food to seniors. Just their initial cohort success was really, really wonderful. So I had the pleasure of actually recruiting for them recently. which is why I mentioned them right now. But yeah, that is definitely like our biggest ask, is ensuring that if we are working with the youth, we want to ensure that there is an increase in enrollment. And I think, doing something, collaborative with Year Up is actually going to show what those results will look like.
Absolutely. That's a great organization. I'm happy that you guys are working with them. Also would like for you guys to connect, if you haven't, with David Giordano, who is the chair of our youth and education. And I'm sure he would love to speak with you further. But we can do that via email after the meeting is over. I do want to recognize Dawn, who has had her hand up. Dawn?
Sorry about that. I had to get off of mute. So anyway, first I want to shout Mateen out because he is so modest. Like his unit and Shauna Castillo is just like such a dynamic unit, so successful. I just, for the census, I think NYCHA activated every single one of their cornerstones, every senior center, and along with DYCD and DIFTA had over 100 job events. Like, I mean, I don't know how you did so much. It was just tireless. And it was wonderful because it was just giving so many people so much hope, and so I've had the privilege of sitting in on some of their check-ins, and they are really dedicated. They are really, really dedicated. So what I wanted to ask you to just talk just a little bit more about, Matina, is the Section 3 requirement for construction, because we've got a lot of people on the community board who, when these construction contracts happen and they have a Section 3 requirement, sometimes the contractors are like, oh, we don't know what to do, or, we don't know where to start. But when I had a team for Sandy recovery, my team was 70% NYCHA residents, and Reese was very, very helpful and essential in making that happen. And I have people who are like friends of mine to this day from 10 years ago who I met through the Reese program. So can you, so all that aside, you guys are great. But could you talk a little bit more about the Section 3 requirements? Because we had a person on our meeting last month who said she was able to get OSHA training. So can you talk a little bit about like the construction part of that, like how NYCHA residents are being folded into like all this new construction and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the construction component, so the Section 3 kind of goes about a few different ways. So first off, we have an entire job generation team whose entire focus is Section 3, and for any kind of NYCHA capital works or any kind of Section 3 work, this team is usually the ones who are making sure that we're having folks who are eligible become job ready for those opportunities. But in general, so we're actually trying to do a few things that's a little bit different because we're always changing. Our model originally changed back in 2012, which is how we came up with the zone model. So you have a person who's like myself, who's dedicated towards an area like Harlem, and we're supposed to know everyone and everything about this place so that we're able to better connect our residents. And the same goes with our Section 3 work. So at any given point, I'm working with a lot more of our active community leaders within the developments who will reach out to me at any given time because they have residents who are looking to get into Section 3. So what does that consist of? The very first thing is there's a couple of components to consider. The very first thing is we do offer a construction track ourselves through the NRTA program or the NYCHA Resident Training Academy. And that allows for our residents to, that is a cohort that happens every year, and that allows for residents to not only get their OSHA certification, but also get a variety of other certifications so that we are able to register them, get their certifications, and have them become Section 3 ready for a certain set of jobs. Now, the biggest thing that we usually get, and the thing that I tend to work a lot with my community leaders about, is going further than that, because a lot of the current, if you are just getting your OSHA training as well as your other site safety certifications, that either makes sure that you're able to be a flagger, you're working in scaffolding, or you're a laborer. And that is the most basic training that we are able to connect folks to. In terms of some of the construction training programs, we take it a step further in working with other organizations to expand on that, because Section 3 isn't just about laborers. There's also an administration component. Sometimes there's even skilled trade, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, elevators. So actually, one organization I'm currently working with that goes that extra mile is actually located in Johnson Houses, called the Renaissance Training Institute, or Technical Institute, Technical Institute, currently run by David Hidalgo. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him and his crew and his team. And they currently offer a lot of these trades, these trade trainings for these type of specific trade constructions when it comes to electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and these specific trades, which a lot of the times and that has become an issue in the past, when we have folks reaching out to our community leaders will get frustrated because they'll send folks over to our team, and a lot of them will be disqualified because they don't have that specific trade training. So at least on our end, we're always trying to add new organizations, new partners to fill those gaps in. And so I'm actually really looking forward to working with RTI, as well as a lot of our other community organizations like Strive, who offers a robust program and has a very successful graduation rate, as well as MEOC, who also provides vocational trainings. A little bit out of Section 3, they do offer construction and OSHA training, but also they do offer medical and health trainings as well.
So Mateen, I'm gonna
yes.
just interject here, because we still do have you have a ton of information to provide. I'm so happy that you're presenting, because we absolutely need this, especially the trainings. We've had a lot of presenters come and talk about, you know, some of the jobs that are available, but then there's also the back end of needing the training portion,
Exactly,
which is missing. And so I'm glad that, you know, Dawn actually had mentioned this during our last, thought that it would be appropriate for you to come and kind of talk about this. So, you know, we want to thank you for sharing some of that information. The information that you provided in the link, does that also, if we go there, will we see some of the information about the training for NYCHA and some of the annual events that you have for training and for jobs as well?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
if you go to the website, it'll not only list all the events that we're currently hosting on a monthly basis, but it also allows you to sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter, which I encourage everybody to sign up for. We send it twice a week. Every 2 weeks. And it'll give you an update on everything we do, because it's not just the trainings, employment, and such, but we go this a step further. Like, we also do the CUNY scholarships for NYCHA residents, things like that. You know, as Dawn mentioned, we tend to work with a variety of other folks, like when we did with the census. Anything, you know, currently we're also recruiting for the SYEP, so we're trying to get folks, especially our young folks, into those applications, so that we're able to make sure that everybody has some money in their pocket this summer.
Well, as Dawn said, it does sound like you are being modest. You guys are doing a lot of work to connect folks with resources, which is amazing. And especially, you know, in regards to jobs and training, and also partnering with other organizations that aren't directly here. I think that's a great thing to do as well, to branch out. And yes, it's great to stay with the community, but there are also resources out there that may be able to help. So your information is in the chat. Are there any quick questions before we move on? We still have 2 other presentations and a agenda item to address. I see no hands. So Mateen, I want to thank you so much for presenting. I will follow up with David's email so that you can connect with him as well for our youth and education. And thank you again for presenting and sharing the amazing work that you are doing with Reese and with NYCHA development overall.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Okay, so we are now moving on to Terence Ryerson from Strive. And thank you for your patience in presenting this evening. But your name has been all up and down our presentation. So
I know.
I don't know if you have anything else to say. But
Hey, listen, I'm gonna just say, I'm gonna just say like Russell used to say back in the days. Thank you, God bless, and good night.
there
No.
you go. I'm here and that's it. Thank you. But that's good. We want to hear about partnerships, and it's great to hear that, you guys have been connected to our community. We hadn't heard from, any of our really career partners this year. We've been reaching out. Angel's been doing a great job of speaking to all different areas. So we thought that we would invite you to come and present and talk about the work that you're doing, if there's anything left. So the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity and inviting me. Thank you, Angel, and thank you for the rest of the board as well. As you know, we're located in East Harlem. We are over there in the Taino Towers building. Just to give you a little, what we have been doing or what we did last year. When the pandemic hit last year, we had to pivot. So we immediately, none of our classes never stopped. We just went from brick and mortar to virtual. And in order to do that, we provided our participants with laptops as well as hotspots for the ones that did not have it. During the pandemic, we had a food drive, we had a mask drive, we had a clothes drive during the holiday, a toys drive during the holiday as well, because we felt as though we are part of the community. We're just not there as a workforce development agency. We are part of that community. So it was up to us as well to participate and help the community in any way that we can. We did the peace walk for Wagner. We were part of that when, the shootings happened. We reached out during the pandemic. We reached out to over 5,000 of our alumni on wellness checks just to make sure what's going on, how they're doing, how's their family doing, for some of our participants that we haven't heard from in a while. We placed almost 600 people in positions during the pandemic. We also pivoted in a type of way where we actually placed individuals in positions that were not Strive alumni. So let's say we called a Strive alumni and they said, listen, my brother's not working, or my father lost their job, or my wife. Because we had the resources and we have a business development team where we can get people jobs, we also allowed them to interview and help them with their resume as well. Although they never went to Strive, because as I said, we're out here to help the community. So that's what we did in 2020. Right now, we're still moving on. We're still doing virtual classes. We concentrate on construction as well as health and office. We just started a construction. We actually will be starting a construction cohort this Monday. Tomorrow will be orientation in the construction cohort. It is a 10-week cohort where you will get your OSHA, you will get your anything it takes in order to be on a website. It's OSHA, your 16-hour scaffolding, your 4-hour flagging, something called silica, I don't know what that is, first aid, and your SST card. Okay, as everybody know, all the Strives trainings are free. So we offer everything for free. We part of the construction training, you do have to come into our office where we do practice social distancing when it comes to the actual OSHA training, because that has to be live. Some of that has to be in person, like the scaffolding, I believe. Right now, being that class is starting, it's starting on Monday and that's filled up. But our next cohort will begin, will begin on May 14th. And I will send Angel the flyer so he can make sure that everyone on this channel gets it as well. I'm going to put my information as well. So I would like everybody to just send me an email so that I can get your email so that I can put you on a listserv. So whenever we have anything that's going on, you guys can get it as well. So like I said, our next class is going to be on May 14th, and we are looking for applicants right now. And that's going to be our health and office class. And our health and office class is a 12-week training as well. And that consists of, I'm gonna tell you right now, that consists of certifications in electronic health records. So you get your electronic health record certification. You will get Word, Excel, first aid, AED, bloodborne pathogens, and you will be able to work in any medical office, non-clinical. So, you know, it's not a clinical position, but administrative. You could be a transporter. We have great partnerships with 1199, Mount Sinai, as well as Northwell Health. So after the training is over, our main goal is to make sure that our participants are employed. Once you are a member of Strive, you are a member of Strive for life. So we have alumni services where we also do, I heard somebody mention earlier, financial literacy. We just had 2 weeks ago, we had how to buy a house. Because unfortunately, a lot of times in our culture, we don't feel as though we are able to buy a house. But there's so many programs out there where all you have to do is have some good credit, have a down payment, and we can know. I think a lot of the times that we don't know. We don't know what's out there. So we feel as though it's unattainable. So we want to make sure that our alumni knows everything that's going out there. We have a great relationship with JP Morgan Chase. As Eva, I see Eva right there. I see you, Eva. With Nicole King, who is actually a great facilitator. She comes in and does our financial literacy classes, and we love that with our alumni. So as I said, we are having, in order to apply for the classes or to get some more information, every Monday and Wednesday, we do an information session, which will tell you, you can answer any questions you want to ask about the classes, how long it's going to be, what's the incentives. And in order to get that, it will be on a flyer that I'm going to send Angel, but it's also, you can catch it at strive.org/remote. And then when that pops up, you will see information sessions. You hit that link and you go right into the information sessions, which happens every Monday and every Wednesday. So that's what's going on with Strive right now. Our next construction cohort will begin in June. So yeah, so this one is filled up. We have the May cohort on health and office, and then construction in June. And then I'll send out the flyers. If you're on my listserv, you will get these flyers like weekly. Just to let you know, I send them out weekly just to remind people.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Terence.
That's it.
Yes, no,
I'm going to say, if anybody have any questions, by all means. And I will put my information in the chat so y'all can reach out to me at any time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Quick question for you. I know that you said you have partnerships with some of the local hospitals. Do you have partnerships as well with any of the construction or developers that are within the area? So after that, the training is done, they are placed in certain areas or with certain.
No, I really do not. And that's why I'm here at this meeting as well. I would like to get that hookup as well, because we do have, a lot of our participants are from the area as well. And we do give them everything they need for the construction site, the SST and all of that stuff. So I would love to have that information if you can hook me up.
Okay, well, we can, I don't know that we can see how we can facilitate a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just need to know who to talk to. Your hookup is just introducing me. I'll do the rest.
Got it. We got it. But yes, no, it's great to have to be able to hear that not only you do the training, but then also the funneling of people into positions too, because it's one thing just to have it, but then if you're stuck out there and you're like, I have this and I have nowhere to go, that's not really as as helpful, as beneficial. But either way, the resources that you guys are offering and making available are amazing. So thank you so much. I know that you guys are a great partner within the community. So we are happy that you were able to present on what you're doing. We'll look for your information in the chat, and then also encouraging everyone to sign up with Strive to get their own personal emails as well. Angel does a great job of disseminating that, but we can also connect with you as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate
any questions from the board or the community?
Question. I have a suggestion.
Angel, yeah.
So Terence, as you may or may not know, like the board sees and has a lot of developers come through our meetings, and we're constantly in conversations with them. Things that are typically reviewed by the Land Use Committee, but also in partnership with the Economic Development Committee on the workforce participation piece, right? So we'll be seeing, as a matter of fact, we just spoke to a development team last night at Land Use, and they will be invited to attend economic development in the very near future to talk about just that. So you'll certainly be seeing an invitation, but like that you don't need an invitation, you just show up. And so then when you're in the room and we're talking to developers and we're talking to them about connecting with folks locally and providing opportunities for folks, and every once in a while they'll slip and they'll be like, oh, it's hard for me or whatever. You'll be there to say, no, it's not hard for me, you just call me and I got 10 people. Gotcha. Right? Like it can be that easy, but sometimes when the right people are not in the room, then there's kind of like a little thing going on, right? So like we need to kind of be in the room there and not give them an opportunity. Some of the developers have gotten savvy and actually are more willing. They're just not plugged in, and they want to get plugged in. So like they want to like meet you or meet the people at Union or meet the people wherever, and be like, yeah, give me bodies. Of course, just always come, but I'll be, we'll be certainly, prodding you to come when there's like those bigger projects, any of those projects actually.
Thank you, Angel. I appreciate you, my man. Definitely. Of course.
Absolutely.
And then just a word of advice to everybody else: if you're gonna call Terence, make sure you had a healthy breakfast. Terence has a lot of energy.
He's got awesome. A lot for me at 8 o'clock. He's got a lot.
He's awesome.
After 2 hours in, he's still going. So thank you for hanging in there. And Angel, thank you for that. That's a great suggestion. And yes, a great way for you, Terence, to directly connect with some of the people that present, not only at our committee, but then also at land use too.
Will do.
So absolutely. Dawn?
Sorry about that. So I was going to put this in the chat, but we're trying to get away from that. So I just wanted to just amen what Angel was saying, because, when I was doing my work, people were saying, oh, we can't find anybody. That is absolute, hogwash, because if you partner with Reese and if you partner with Strive, there's no way you can't get like really, really good talent. I mean, I never had a shortage of talent. So, and I've been privileged to see someone who starts out with like in a Strive program or in a Reese program partnership, now making $53 an hour, doing skilled labor. This is someone from Redfern Houses, but I'm sure there's other success stories.
Definitely,
locally.
yes.
And I just want to, echo what Angel said. It's not that hard. If you're well-meaning, it's not that hard to staff up with people coming out of Strive or out of NYCHA. So
thank you
so much for coming.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for that. And so I guess, are there any other questions at this time? We are definitely grateful, for jobs for this community. We know that we need it, and we know that we need to be creative in the ways that we're going about offering jobs and opportunities. So we thank you for being that catalyst and for connecting and partnering with so many people, which I think is equally as important. So we will look to continue to connect with you and connect with Strive, and we hope to see you before the year is over. We have 2 more meetings after this before we break for summer. So please feel free to come back.
I'm there. Make sure I get an invite.
Okay.
I get the invites, so but make sure I put me on your listserv.
Angel will have you VIP.
Yeah, Angel's my man. Angel got my personal telephone number. All right.
Thank you, Terence. Thank you for presenting.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Okay, and so next we have Melody from Caribbean Cultural Center. And are you still on with us?
I sure am.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having us, for having me and our organization. I want to just make a note on the screen. The correction of the spelling of Caribbean is 1 R, 2 B's. And I only stress that in case people decide to want to do a search. And I'm Melody with a Y, not an IE. So just for transparency and sharing of information. I'm also going to put in the chat our website, my info, and some information about a new exhibition that we have on our website. For the sake of time, and I know that especially at this time, I can tend to ramble. I actually prepared a testimony or a presentation so that I could stay focused, and then you can ask whatever questions following, okay?
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know there's Zoom fatigue, but my life has become Zoom, so I'm really trying to be considerate of everybody's time. So I want to begin by saying good evening to my friends and colleagues of the Community Board 11. Thank you for this invitation to share with you how we have managed to survive during the dual pandemics of both COVID-19 and the horrible tragedies that gave rise to the Black Lives Matter movement. I cannot even begin to share with you until I take a moment to express my solidarity, my anger, my hurt. Wait a minute. Something's happened to my screen. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry. I cannot even begin to share with you until I take a moment to express my solidarity, my anger, my hurt, and many other feelings revolving around the senseless murder of Daunte Wright and George Floyd. And the list is so long that I would use up all of my time reading the litany. As the mother of a Black Latino son, I can't help but wonder, is he next? Yes, believe it or not, this is what mothers think about at 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter how old our sons are. But let me get to the business of the day, which ironically is very much related to the murders and mayhem perpetuated by the rogue law enforcement officials. With the pandemic of COVID-19, when the pandemic of COVID-19 first hit, we at CCCADI closed our doors like so many other institutions. But unlike others, we chose to take our cue from our ancestors who survived the pandemic of slavery, the pandemic of Reconstruction, the pandemic of Jim Crow laws, and the pandemic of 400 years of discrimination and oppression. We were determined to survive, whether anyone liked it or not. On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was killed, and 1 year later, still no one is being held accountable. We at CCCADI took the opportunity of his death to radically reshape our commitment to racial and social justice within arts and culture. We immediately announced to the small and mid-sized arts and culture organizations of this city that we were prepared and ready to educate their executive staffs and boards regarding the issues of systemic racism and institutionalized bias. Starting first with no financial support, we were joined by several foundations who supported our efforts to make arts and culture executives aware of the subliminal racism that may exist within themselves and help them to understand how institutional racism can exist within their organizations that really, within an organization that really wants to produce beautiful dance. Thus far, we have trained over 150 organization leaders, each of whom have participated in a total of 9 hours each on anti-racism. In the same spirit of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, we demanded that funding sources step up and recognize that the mere pittance provided from their endowments was based, in whole or in part, upon the sweat of Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. We demanded that they hold themselves accountable. With some pride, I can say that at least one foundation, the Gilman Foundation, invited all of their grantees to participate in our anti-racism training program. From this effort over just 1 year, we created the Institute for Racial and Social Justice in Arts and Culture, one of our principal vehicles for developing talent within our own community of Black, Brown, Asian, Indigenous, LGBTQ, and other artists. The job is not done yet, as this is just the beginning. We intend to create and maintain a viable and vital East Harlem cultural corridor, and I am suggesting to you that you need to be ready for us because we are ready to move ahead. Before the end of this year, we will be announcing the creation of the East Harlem Performing Arts Center. And before the end of this year, we will be announcing the East Harlem Artist Incubator project. Our strategy represents a nice union between economic development, culture, and our communities. I stop now to give you an opportunity to ask questions, and I want to thank you and give tribute to our ancestors without whom none of this could ever come to pass. Be well and stay safe. Ashe.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you so much. And thank you for, opening us up with, the feelings that many of us are having right now regarding a lot of issues that are going on within, our community on all fronts. And understanding that you guys, I'm sure, are being proactive in what you can do from an institute standpoint. So thank you for making mention of that and even bringing that to light.
Thank you.
As you guys are moving forward, I guess as you're starting to open up a little bit more and you have new developments come, what is something that the community can or our committee can support you in, and or how has the center been during the pandemic?
Well, we are closed to the public as a physical space, not only to care for my staff, but for anybody who might think that it's okay to walk into the space, right? We've taken all of the precautions. Staff comes in maybe once a week. No one, I'm not insisting that anyone show up because we are in a pandemic. It is not over. We're in a community that's been devastated. Black and brown communities, and particularly the South Bronx and East Harlem, have been hit hard. And so what we have done is totally transferred all of our programming to the digital space. I've put our website in the chat. We have a new exhibition called On Protest and Mourning, which is a digital exhibition, a photographic exhibition by approximately 8 artists of African descent who used this year to document and tell the story in photos and on film and through music about the resilience of our communities. When you look at an institution like the Caribbean Cultural Center, we are not a space for art's sake. Our art and our culture is one of survival. When you think about the hundreds of years of enslavement, and you think about all that's been taken from us, we're not even supposed to be here. And yet we're here. And the institution that is the Caribbean Cultural Center, African Diaspora Institute, serves as a cultural anchor on the east side of the 125th Street Cultural Corridor that says, regardless of what's happening with development in our community, we are here. And we are an institution that will continue to mirror and support and be a repository of all things Black, Latino, Asian, Indigenous that represents our people. So we are here. For folks who don't know, we were named the developers of the firehouse on 125th between Lexington and Park about 12 years ago. And we have now renovated it into a state-of-the-art facility that community members walk by, peek in, and say, this looks like something that belongs downtown. And our response to that is, why shouldn't beauty and a cultural institution that stands for you not be in your neighborhood? Why would you think that you don't deserve an institution like what we have on 125th Street? Our hope is that in the next year, we will be able to expand our footprint and be present for a community that says, we're nothing without our culture. The world would be nothing without art. And so the work of the center really serves to highlight the cultural contributions and creative expressions that we share as people of African descent. Be us from Puerto Rico, Haiti, Trinidad, Cuba, Brazil, the one common thread we share is our root culture in Africa.
Absolutely, great. Well, thank you for presenting and being a staple in this community. And also just being a connector, right, for all Indigenous people of color from all different areas. So we are looking forward to seeing that footprint expand
Thank you. So are we.
and continuing to support. And we, wanted to make sure that you had a voice here with our committee and to share out. We've been trying to connect with our cultural institutions this year, and just making sure that they are also heard in whatever the needs are for the community. So we thank you for coming. Angel, did you have your hand? No?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So Melody, no fair, you gave me goosebumps before I have my question.
Oh, thank you.
It's not fair, that's cheating. But I think that the committee members and the attendees might be interested if you're able and wanting to share a bit more about the vision for the Performing Arts Center that you mentioned.
Absolutely. Our goal is to create a space. We're talking to everyone and anyone who will listen, right? Developers and other partners in the community about establishing the East Harlem Performing Arts Center. This would be a space. Ideally, we're looking to make it a multi-use space. One, a theater that would be used not just by the center, but community members and other for and not-for-profit organizations in the neighborhood. And we're also really excited about an artist incubator that started actually as an immediate response to COVID-19. Last March, we were in approximately 30 schools, and upon the shutdown, we put 30 artists out of work immediately. There were no schools to do the teaching artist residencies. There were no gigs. There were no exhibitions. They really had the rugs pulled from underneath them. And so we created a project that we called the DEAR Project, Digital Evolution Artist Retention Program, where we have been training artists on how to be not only ready for when the doors open up and we can hit the ground running, but preparing artists who in many instances weren't prepared to kind of migrate from in real time to digital space. The use of Zoom, the use of Google Meets, the use of StreamYard. How do you translate art into this space that are like dozens of little boxes on a screen? And so the hope is that with the Performance Arts Center, we'll also be able to incorporate this artist incubator, which would grow artists into businesses. So as we were talking earlier about small businesses, moving away from the notion of the artist always having to be a struggling artist into becoming a real business, and partnering with not only the local businesses, but partnering with a community to build a rich cultural corridor that speaks to all of our creative expressions. So visual arts, performance art, a lot of work with our schools, because the schools in many instances don't even have an art teacher, never mind an art program. And so we're coming into the schools, not for assemblies, not for Black History Month, not for Hispanic Heritage Month, but we come into a school for 15 and 20-week residencies where young people have a real exposure to hands-on art making, arts engagement, and really speaking to artists about this being a career, this being a real possibility. So our hope is that we will be able to identify a space or spaces that will allow us to have this footprint that says we're here. Right? I'm amazed every time I come to 125th Street and just see all that's been wiped out, but more importantly, all that's coming, and how we have to have a voice in this process. Otherwise, we will be erased. And as long as I can stand on these two legs, I refuse to be erased from the neighborhood where I was born and raised.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you. I don't know if there are any questions.
Yes, I see Debbie. Debbie, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yes,
Hi.
okay,
Hey,
thank
Debbie.
you. Hi,
Hola.
Debbie. Hi.
So I'm gonna lower my hand. So I just wanted to chime in a little bit. Nice to see folks to still be doing the work. And one of the things that comes to my mind to share is that, a lot of initiatives that have gone through East Harlem tend to talk about, community benefits and what are you doing to give back in jobs. And one of the things that I wanted to suggest for consideration by this committee to think about, not just about how many jobs can we get, but maybe to hold these developers a little bit more accountable on the cultural arts side, where it's like, if you're building a new building, you know, like, why don't you hire a local artist to design the lobby? You know, and the other thing is that, you know, so many plans and so many reports have been developed. And I see Angel smiling because he knows I have a box load to give him. But yeah, you know, there was a cultural corridor on 106th Street, you know, that was proposed and never came to fruition. But you know, sometimes what happens is the plan comes before the time it's ready. And I think that now it's important maybe to go back and revisit some of those plans, and kind of say the time is now, right? So that's just two things. And the other thing that Melody failed to say is that, you know, a lot of work has been done by Caddy in partnerships with other groups, and she doesn't say that, how she supports other groups, because that's how Mel is, and that's why I love her. But you know, I have to just say, from the Friends of Art Park, you know, Alliance, that we have partnered, and she has been so helpful in helping to transform the space with some programs that we have many plans for. And I think that the community board, especially the Economic Development and Cultural Affairs Committee, you have a unique opportunity to have a two-sided conversation, give back to the community, but empower our artists. So
So just to give you some context, Debbie, on that actually, which is interesting that we have started this year and would love to have your feedback on, if you would, you know, if you would like, and or, uh, you know, also if there are ideas that you have, Melody, but we have actually started a form that Jenny and Dawn and Vinny were working on initially. We are all actually contributing to it as well, that talks about different ways that developers can connect with the community. And so some of the items on there do include engaging artists and engaging local arts institutions, right? Whether that be in a way of a mural, as you mentioned, you know, or having maybe art in the lobby area, right? Or having art on the wall. And yes, it's not necessarily like a sustainable, you're going to, you know, retire off of those funds. But let's think about creative ways where we can engage our artists, right? In things that are coming up. And so, you know, would love to have more input in that. But that is something that is in the works and something that we are creating, so that, as you stated, you know, when developers and not only developers, but when there are other opportunities that come into the community that can engage our artists, that we
Well,
have
you know, I'm
something to
down.
say. I'm sorry.
I said, you know my number.
Oh yeah. My point being that yes, we would love to have, you know, if you would love to partake in that and actually add more to that, I'm sure that there is value in what you have to offer. And of course, Melody, if there are ideas that you have as well. But you are correct in that we do have two sides to look at. It's the economic and it is the arts too, that we don't want to leave behind. And there
Yeah,
are
I think
ways to engage them. Go ahead, Melody.
there are a few things to be said to that as well when we're looking at housing, and you know,
Mhm.
however affordable housing is defined.
Yep.
What we do know, it typically doesn't include the incomes of East Harlem, and we know this to be a fact. It also doesn't include artist housing. And I would think that anywhere that a developer is coming in, we have to give consideration to the artist in the community. I'm not talking about free housing, but let's make it real affordable housing that we can keep our artists in our community. To Debbie's point about partnerships, the center's success is based on the collaborations we've had from the very beginning. And yes, we've been able to do some really great programming at the Harlem Arts Park, at the Marcus Garvey Park. You know, so that for us is a natural. Partnerships with Taino Towers. We work very closely with Maria Cruz over at Taino Towers.
And even restaurants possibly.
And the local, but we've done work with Carrie. I mean, working with Uptown Grand, and we've hosted a series, any series of possibilities. To Debbie's point about the cultural district or this kind of arts district, if we don't claim it now, as those of us who are in East Harlem, folks west of us are going to create an arts district that will come east and will be too late. Folks south of us are going to come uptown, because remember, now we're all Spaha and Noha, and everybody's giving us all these different names, right? And so all of a sudden we'll find folks creeping uptown on the east side and creeping east from the west side. And before you know it, there'll be something created that leaves us out of the loop. And so I charge the community board. I will take the lead on it, but I think it's really important to think about what an arts district looks like in our community because of all of the cultural gems that are in our community. And really, you know, talking about what the economic enrichment is for partnering culture, arts, business, schools, artists, because it's in our communities, we're just not supporting it adequately. And so, you know, this is certainly something I'd like to discuss further at another time.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see how we can, you know, put something together to have a conversation, you know, with obviously with some local stakeholders within the arts area, and see what we can do in that realm to kind of secure that and to ensure that there's some sanctity around that as well for our neighborhood. So.
Okay, I just also put in the chat the exhibition we have that just opened 2 weeks ago on protest and mourning. So you can go either to our website or directly to the link and see the exhibition.
Perfect, Melody. Thank you so much. Dawn, quickly, do you just have something quick to add?
I just wanted to amen what Angel said, that the presentation was just absolutely captivating, and
Thank you.
That is just, I felt the same like surge of, you know, wanting to do more, wanting to get involved. And then I just wanted to assure Debbie, like the whole concept of the gallery night, that was like my father's legacy of bringing the artists together, bringing the developers together, and sort of getting past the starving artist phenomena and getting back to like artists having patrons and having, you know, regular work and so on. So I just want you to know that is very near and dear to my heart, to make sure these developers use their open space for artists, for local artists. So don't worry about that, but we definitely still want your feedback. But I can assure you, like, I think about that almost every day, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Are there any other questions? Okay, so Melody, thank you again for presenting, and we appreciate you coming.
Marissa, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Marcus Johnson in the public sector had his hand up. You might have just missed it.
Hey.
I did. Thank you, Marcus. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see some very familiar faces in this room. So, hey, Melody.
Hi, Marcus.
You know, hope all is well. Really appreciate the presentation today.
Thank you.
One thing that definitely came to mind after, you know, hearing, you know, the different services and different like initiatives that you want to promote. One thing that I've been seeing surging, you know, in the media is about like non-fungible tokens. And so really that's just a way for artists to really leverage their brand and what they bring in as artists. And so it's just kind of, to put it simply, it's a way for artists to kind of make money off of their artwork continuously. And so it's like a digital way of going about it. And I think it's a great way how artists are taking much more ownership in this space. And so it really presents a lot of opportunities for artists to really invest in brand development and creating a brand underneath them, so that their works that they invest a lot of time and energy into can basically reap residual profits. So it's something that I just thought I would want to put out there as something to explore with artists that's coming in creating culture. Just because it's something that's really booming right now, and it's definitely going to just keep taking over like this digital era that we're in. So definitely wanted to put that out there, and I definitely got to come by the Caribbean Cultural Center and have to stop by. And are you like in there? Is it like
No,
open?
we're not in the space. Really visit the website. There's so much happening on our website that you'll be blown away. And I really thought, to wrap up, we've been in conversations with a committee that I've been working on with Marcus, that we're looking at an intergenerational digital program, identifying senior citizens and young people from the housing development around the corner from us. I can't think of the name, Marcus.
Are you talking about with DIFTA?
Say that again.
Are you talking about the intergenerational program with DIFTA?
Well, that's what we're exploring now, right? And our idea is that if we could, I think it's important for our own communities to tell the stories of COVID as we've experienced it and not have someone else tell the story. So we'd like to have young people create apps where we landmark East Harlem and we landmark our stories in the NYCHA housing, and working with senior citizens who are timid and a bit afraid of the technology, have the young people work with them, tell the stories, create these oral traditions, and have them mapped as apps that we can use our phones and kind of landmark East Harlem on our own. So we kind of threw that out at one of our meetings, and we've been exploring it more and more. So another potential partnership. But again, thank you all. I know it's late. Thank you all so much for listening and for having us.
Thank you. Yes, no, absolutely. And thank you for hanging in there with us. So I really appreciate the information that you shared, and looking forward to speaking further with you about how we can and move forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Good night.
Hey, Marcus, can you send me some information on the art program? How would someone get involved with that?
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very, very new space. But I can definitely speak with you offline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so we are now moving along in our agenda. And so I wanted to bring up in old business our previous motion for the support of the East Harlem grant and keeping this separate from the loan option. I know Councilmember Ayala was also going to be on this call, and I believe she had another call. She had to jump off for this evening, but wanted to bring this and keep it separate from the loan program, which I didn't feel we had enough information about. And again, this is open for discussion with the committee completely. I do feel with the grant, we had an amount. We know that the funds are still looking to go back into the community, specifically where Pablo said they are still speaking about that, but the funds will be distributed back into our neighborhood. And I will ask him more specifically in what areas, but leaving this and not necessarily saying that we need to go one way or another, but opening this up for discussion to see if we would like to mention a letter of support for the grant specifically, the grant funding specifically, and moving forward with that. This is for the committee.
Marissa, what the question is, what was the question again?
So last month we made a motion to support the grant and loan funds for the community. At the full board, I retracted that because there were some questions around the specificity of the letter and where the funds were going, kind of more information about what we're doing, but more so on the loan side. For the grant side, we knew it was roughly 700,000 that was going back into the community. More or less, the funds would be redistributed in the way that they were previously for the program. We know what's going through union settlement, what have you. For the loan portion, there's still a lot, I believe, behind the scenes that's being worked on. Not necessarily behind the scenes in a bad way, but they're still figuring out the specifics of that. And so wanting to split that up and have two separate motions if the committee would like to move forward in that way. So one supporting the grant, which is what is on the table for this evening, and having a separate discussion at a later time regarding the loan funds, which are still being discussed and spoken about.
I mean, I think we should definitely support the grant approach that they have, that they're figuring out. Pablo said something about like next week, right? They might have a little bit more information about how it's, I think we should,
who it's gonna go
support that
to.
for sure. Mhm.
Okay, so with that, does anyone want to make a motion? And again, we are splitting up the loan and the grant. So if this is the will of the committee to move forward to support the redistribution of the grant, that is on the floor at this time.
Yes, we should make a motion to support the East Harlem Small Business Grant.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up, and if you are able to specifically make a motion,
Marissa, do you need exact language for the motion? Like, can I say motion to
Yes.
support? Okay, so motion to support the East Harlem Small Business Grant per, can I just say like per the first two paragraphs in that letter?
yes, so I believe am I able to state it, Angel? Can I state it and have someone restate it?
Sure, but when they restate it, it should be stated as I move the Community Board 11 support.
Okay, so I move that Community Board 11 supports the redistribution of the East Harlem Small Business Grant in the approximate amount of $700,000 back into the East Harlem community.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Angel, do you need to do a roll call?
So yes, but
Can we do this?
before we
Okay.
get that, so
Okay.
we should
Yeah.
try practicing it
Yeah.
the appropriate way.
Yes.
So you were suggesting language, and then someone should have made that motion, and then you should have recognized someone seconding, instead of you making the motion because you're leading the committee. So
Okay.
Jenny has started to do that. Is Jenny, you still on board with the language that Marissa had suggested? And can you just say, I move, and then the following.
So she remembers. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I?
Go ahead, please.
So, Jenny, go ahead. Whatever your language is, go say that.
So I move to reallocate the remainder of the East Harlem Small Business Grant in the amount of $700,000 back into other community programs for East Harlem.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second. I Giselle second the motion.
So, Monica.
Do we have,
Okay,
so,
so wait. Hold on, Giselle. So can we do a roll call now?
So I could do the roll call, but I'm going to drag you guys through this if you permit me.
Go ahead.
I promise that in a month's time, this will be second nature. So then once we have the second, we can allow, like, you can allow discussion now. So there's a, if folks want to discuss the merits of the motion that was first and seconded, we can do that now. If not, then we can proceed. You would restate the motion so everyone's clear, and then we vote. I'm not looking at you, so if you're giving me dirty looks, anyone, I can't see you.
No, but I need to write down specifically what Jenny said for me to restate it. So is there any discussion at this time regarding the motion?
I think Marissa just the ending where it said to put it back into other East Harlem programs. I don't know if that's clear enough.
Okay.
What would you suggest for more clearer language? I'm super open to it.
I think so. Whatever the original, whoever the original grant program, I guess, went to, let those funds that have been left over be redirected back into that same kind of criteria.
But the only thing is with that, and Pablo mentioned earlier, is that they are having discussions about where it's going to not leave individuals out. So I don't know that we add that in there because then that's restrictive of only, I believe before it was only restaurants. And I don't know if they are looking at non-for-profits as well. I just wouldn't want to put anything in there that does not reflect what they are looking to do in terms of redistributing the funds.
I have a question. Can we, let's say, for example, if Pablo comes back in a week with definite information regarding the grant, is it allowed to be edited this before the full board?
So if
Angel?
so let's say tonight you say 1, 2, 3, right? And you hear back from Pablo some information that makes you want to change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you could pass 1, 2, 3 tonight, and then on Tuesday at full board, when Marissa presents the motion from the committee, someone would stand and make a motion to amend that.
With the 4.
That would be amended with the 4. So then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you vote to adopt that.
Okay, so now we have, and thanks, Annie. So I will second. Now I will restate the motion. That's where we're at now, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I move to allocate the remainder of the East Harlem Small Business Grant in the amount of approximately $700,000 back to small businesses in East Harlem.
Okay. All right, so now I'm on.
Roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Marissa?
Yes.
Giselle?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Jenny?
Yes.
Hi. Steve? Steven?
I'll ping him. Hold on. You can move forward.
He was the last one.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I'm here. Yes.
So, yes,
Yeah. Okay.
the motion passes.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Good job. Thanks, committee. Thank you, Angel.
It'll be better next month.
We'll be better just in time for summer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so is there any additional old business? No? Okay. New business? Hi, Stephen.
All right, so no new business entirely. Good to see you. Hello, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, continue the theme that we have of cross-committee collab. I know that Marissa, you have expressed the desire to really, take the lead on the economic viability portion of many of the applications that come before land use. So we're keeping with that theme. Every development or ULURP action that comes before us that has the possibility of netting, local job opportunities, small business opportunities, minority-owned business opportunities. We have placed those presenters on notice that we want them to engage the Economic Development Committee. The Second Avenue subway is the second phase is a significant and historical project. We're talking about a project that has the potential to really create a large output of opportunities within the community. I don't believe the MTA is well versed in that level of engagement. When we've advocated for local hiring, they stonewalled a lot of those, requests with, oh, these are union jobs. And when you make those, when you ask those questions, the community is often left to kind of do research on their own on creating pipelines. I think that CB11 has a unique opportunity to establish a dialogue in anticipation of these opportunities that can present themselves and really be life-changing career opportunities for people from the community. There's no level of skill required for an entry-level position. And, construction jobs, pre-construction jobs, even engineering jobs, they start with people that have no knowledge. I've known many civil contractors that take on interns from Villanova University, sophomores and juniors who still don't know anything about engineering. Yet they're given opportunities at these prestigious, colleges, these universities to land a gig on projects like the Second Avenue subway. So I really want to continue that dialogue. I'm obviously passionate about creating these opportunities, but I also know that the Economic Development Committee is versatile in its advocacy, right? So there could be aspects of that project that can help small business owners, restaurants, so on and so forth. So we did engage them. They seem very receptive to have the conversation. So, it's in our court. A concept of a construction advisory committee was brought up at the meeting last night. I know that, an Angel can sort of echo these thoughts. We've been murmuring about, the establishment of a committee task force of some sort for the Second Avenue subway. So I just want to put it on everybody's radar. It's a lot of work. It's a big project, and we might as well take advantage of the time we have before us now. For those, I have the unique blessing of being in the construction industry. So I understand their language. And so, this concept of utility relocations came up last night. When I wasn't in construction, I would have overlooked that and not thought much of, the impacts that could produce. Utility relocations as part of a significant infrastructure project are massive. However, Joe O'Donnell from the MTA was receptive to appointing community liaisons for each agency of every utility that's involved. So I just want to get on the front end of this thing. There's a lot of energy I think we can put into it, and a lot of historical knowledge that's already exists. We reviewed phase 1 documents, like tenant relocation plans. There was a lot of, eco dev related documents that I saw, but primarily based on relocation on the phase 1 side. So we did put in a request for their phase 2 documents. Angel, I'm sure we haven't received anything since last night, correct?
Not the certification stuff? Not yet. No, they said that they were still approved by the FDA before they were able to share it, if that's what you were referring to.
And you know,
The federal
Angel, if you
transportation.
could just give me, give me your feedback on it, on what committees like EcoDev and Land Use can do to get ahead of this thing before you know, someone greenlights a committee.
Yeah. No, you framed it perfectly, and I think particularly on, you know, communicating the massiveness of the project, and you know, just in and of itself, but more directly for Community Board 11, it is going to take a lot of time commitment from staff and members for many, many years, like a lot. Like, you know, like we did the last humongous project we did was the neighborhood plan. Is that times 10. It's going to be enormous. The amount of disruption, the broad impact, all of the different facets from, you know, from jobs to land use to, you know, impacts on schools, impacts on, you know, day-to-day life. It's going to be quite significant. So like once we're done at the far end, it's going to be a great infrastructure improvement. But, you know, during it, it's, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. And there are a lot of lessons that the MTA learned from the first phase that it's clear that they're looking to apply here. But, you know, every neighborhood has its own idiosyncrasies, right? And its own levels of engagement. And, you know, frankly, we're going to need to really, you know, step up and step in and commit to that process if we want our voices heard and responded to, you know, in meaningful ways. Because like once that massive project gets going, you know, it's not like they're going to slow down. It's just going to keep digging and, you know, doing. But, you know, if we're putting, you know, useful and feasible recommendations on the table, you know, in a timely fashion, then many times we'll be surprised that they will be able to comply. They will be able to, you know, fulfill our recommendations. And when it comes to jobs and those kind of things, we really have to push it and get ahead of them, and, you know, present them with what the, you know, present them with why we exist, right? We exist because we're theoretically have the, you know, micro level perspective, right? That's not their perspective. They're not Community Board 11. They're the MTA. As much as they may want to do it and may be very well intentioned, it's just not what they do. We exist to present and represent that very localized perspective, right? So only Giselle knows specifically, you know, which block of concrete in front of her store has, you know, this particular crack, right? Because she sees it every day, right? So that kind of thing, that kind of feedback, that's a silly example, but you know what I mean? Like that kind of feedback is very meaningful and can result, can drive the results that we're going to need.
Has the MTA offered
Is that
any,
helpful?
and this is for Angel or Stephen, have they offered any like community benefits to, I guess, some of the businesses that have been impacted by some of the downtown structure of, you know, of their building, or of what they've been doing? Or has that even, or do you know if there have been, you know, conversations about how that's impacted? And, you know, I know that the MTA is in like a deficit now, you know, but, you know, what has there been any conversation about that, or
For our phase? For the
or
second
even
phase?
prior, yeah, for the second phase? I don't know if there was anything done previously, you know, but just thinking about the impact of this, what has been, if anything, offered to say, you know, this is how this is going to disrupt the neighborhood, and, you know, here's what we are doing or plan to do about it. nothing
So
mentioned as
the
of yet.
short answer that yeah. So like from the first phase for sure. I think, you know, those that, you know, we were all around, we were all alive. It'll depend if we were reading the newspaper or not. You know, many of us might remember that, and I wasn't doing this kind of work, but I remember reading the paper where when they first started digging, there was not very good communication with the impacted, you know, community. But over time, you know, based on that, you know, complaints and engagement and that process improved so that by the end, they may not have been perfect, but they were certainly vastly improved in terms of establishing community information centers, you know, establishing a, you know, Shop Second Avenue marketing campaign that they were sustaining and putting up signage and, you know, doing things that were responsive to community input and feedback. And, you know, and they, you know, I won't pretend to be able to speak to every single thing that they did, but I do recall those kinds of things. And when I did finally start working here, it was at the tail end of the first phase. So I was able to attend a couple of the, you know, actually a few of the community engagement kind of efforts that they had. They had these task forces per station in each community. So they had people that were on those blocks. I mean, hundreds of people that were on those blocks that they were meeting with. That's what we're going to have to ramp up to. So they were being responsive to those concerns. And I'm sure that people on the Upper East Side will, you know, be like, Angel, you're wrong. But when I was sitting there, it looked like they were, you know, being responsive. So in terms of, you know, do they have, and you know, tell me if I heard you wrong, do they have like a toolkit of based on experiences from the first phase that they could apply here? I think the answer is yes. Have they already been engaging with impacted community, impacted property owners? Yes. How meaningful that engagement has been, I think we have to talk to those property owners to be able to assess, right? But I do know, and some of you may recall hearing presentations from Hector Santana, who was the community, you know, face of the project over the last couple of years, but there wasn't that much movement on the project. So, you know, they were coming and presenting, but it was, you know, people were like, oh, that's interesting. It was kind of far away. Now they got the money. So it's going to happen. And it's going to happen soon, unless something terrible, you know, occurs.
So let's see, because I mean, I think one of the things that we need to do, and we have, right? I know in the past couple of years, we have heard from residents and storefronts that have expressed their concern. But now that we're moving forward, it's more of a, not just we're concerned, but okay, what are you actually bringing to the table now to help these certain areas? So let's talk about like how we can work with the community and land use, MTA, to have more concrete conversations about what this means, because everyone's already been impacted this year with COVID, and
Yeah,
even before, you know, it's so, you know, for them to now come in, and we have to figure out how there's going to be some sort of help and stability for the areas that are going to be impacted, and not just okay, we're ramming through this and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think it's going to happen anyway. But they did express yesterday, and they've expressed many times before that they'll come to as many meetings as we invite them to. So they're perfectly content to come and speak and to echo and all the other committees that want to invite them, and we can address those questions specifically to them. Like I know that from earlier on, there was, in terms of like, you know, what are you doing for, you know, properties that are being impacted? I know one example at, what's that called, on 106th Street? Whatever the
I
development
see your
is.
hand. I'm sorry, I will call on you
Right.
momentarily.
I'm forgetting the name of the development, but it's a private Section 8 development, Mitchell Law, I think. And one of their parking lots is going to be impacted by an ancillary building for the Second Avenue subway project. So they've been planning for the very longest time to make the development whole for the losses that they're gonna, suffer from the removal, from the loss of those parking spaces, from that parking lot. And they've been, in those conversations for several years. So like they get that part, but it's, it's sitting down and talking to them. And they, Franklin Plaza.
Yeah.
And they've been talking to the folks from Franklin Plaza for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tamika, thank you. I did see your hand, and apologies for going on. Please, did you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to just like echo, because I know downtown when they went through the whole phase, a lot of our small businesses do not know they can get business interruption insurance, but they're going to need to get it before the construction starts, because business interruption insurance will actually fill the gap between the time that the subway is being built to it could be completely. So when they lose revenue, they can actually have the insurance pay for it, so they don't go completely out of business like we saw downtown. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, that's great to hear. Sad that that's going to be another fee for businesses. But great that fee is less than I'm sure what they would have to pay, if things are shifted completely. So I think that that's something that we also need to get the word out about, but definitely having the Second Avenue subway team come and present, and also for us to be able to say, what are your ideas around making sure that people are secure and okay as you are doing your work is an important conversation too. So Angel, if we can get them on the agenda. Stephen, thank you so much for mentioning and even continuing the work and ensuring that they can speak to us as well, I think is extremely important. And this is something we've been talking about for a couple of years now. So to see now that this is moving forward and after the pandemic, with everything that businesses and residents have and landlords have gone through, this is definitely a discussion that we need to have. So we'll get them on the agenda and
There
see
was
how we can
only
move
one other
forward.
item I had,
Okay.
which was a pre-ULURP certification, which came before us concerning the Las Raíces project with Chris Cirillo and his team. There was a discussion on possible community art or mural of such on the project. So it might be something you want to keep in your Rolodex for community outreach. Angel, was there anything I'm missing on that? All right.
Oh, hit it right on
Stephen,
the head.
thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So new business, old business. Is there any other comments or questions before we adjourn? If not, thank you, everyone.
The second roll call.
Oh, second roll call. Thank you, Angel.
No problem. Marissa,
Here.
Giselle,
Here.
Dawn,
Here.
Jenny,
Here.
9 left. Stephen, nod, wave, something. There you go. Quorum. Okay, thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good
you,
evening.
guys.
Thank you for a productive meeting. Good job.
Thank you.
Good night,
Have a great
everyone.
weekend.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Angel.
Dawn.